mate, you swear. Go away. Fucking told you before, you're pathetic. I wish you ain't even born. The joke.
Because I'm hungry. I'm busy. Go sort yourself out. He's on the line, mate.
At 6 years of age when it was going on, and then it continued. So it stopped around 10. I honestly think there was too many sick people in the family, and that I was the black sheep out of the family. So from a young girl, I've always felt the off one out of the family, never fitted in.
I can remember interviewing Chantelle, and really interview's the wrong word, it's much more like we have a conversation and a dialogue, and realising that she was in a really unsafe situation.
With the background the way it weren't healthy, and how I was acting on the streets weren't healthy. So I didn't see a healthy childhood.
Chantelle was really volatile at the time, and I can remember talking to her on the Friday and talking to staff and saying this young person situation is really dire.
A lot of traumatic stuff went on from a younger age, and there was sexual abuse in the family, and how I expressed it was in anger on the streets. I didn't know how to express it in any other way but to bring that anger out.
I used to be quite of misplaced anger in my younger days. So sometimes I think she saw me very much at first as I'm a professional like every other professional. She had a view of professionals that everybody that seemed to be okay had a perfect childhood, perfect adulthood, and they didn't understand where she was coming from. So I tried to relate some of my experiences where I've had to learn to control situations and maybe control my emotional responses to people.
She didn't know why things were happening to herself. And it was challenging for staff. She's lots and lots of fun. She's so much fun. And I think that's why you can forgive her for the times when she's not fun and she's swearing at you. And she's going through such trauma because she's been through such trauma, and that's written all over her all the time, I think, and that's what came out in the rick-rack.
You know, living in an environment, moving from all of that from young age, then moving into my dad's care, not being able to express love or even know words, and then all that anger coming out, and then I moved into care. So I lived in care for a while, and then I went into foster care, then I come back to my dad's, and then I went back to care. And being in that family with them didn't seem right, you know, normal didn't come natural to me. So I went back to my dad's and thought things would change, and, you know, but it didn't. It's not going to change. I can't remember a relationship with my mum from a young age. I just remember her being out drunk all the time and not being around. And when she was around, she was always with fellas or, you know, off somewhere else. I've always carried a lot of anger and resentment and a lot of pain towards my mum with what went on when I was younger. And I don't think I've never been able to have that connection with my mum. Never been able to show that love to her. You know, I can't treat her like a mum. I can't, you know, even with all this anger and that, she's not a, I don't know how to say it. I feel like I'm slagging her off, but how I feel towards her is that she's never been there, she's never looked after, and I always carried a lot towards her.
She wasn't angry at anybody. Sometimes she did, but I mean, you could tell it wasn't like at me or at any other member of staff. It was just her frustrations, and she didn't know how to deal with her frustrations, so it just come out in anger.
Was it a conscious decision on that day when you decided, I'm gonna share this stuff, I'm gonna tell someone? What made you do that on that day?
I don't know. It just come out. It had to come out. Something needed to be done about it. It needed to be stopped.
I think the one thing that's really hard about working with Chantelle, she expects other people to change. So he shouldn't have done that, should he? And no, he shouldn't. But you can't change other people. The only thing you can do is change yourself. And that sheer frustration that people are horrible. You'd have thought with the life she's had, she'd know people are horrible. But she always wants to see the best in people.
So your mum was an alcoholic, and you know, you talk about that, and your dad was a drug dealer.
Yeah.
When did yours begin, and how did it begin?
When I was 14, I had my first drink. From 14, with getting into, people in the care room, I was growing, I was getting around other people that come from dysfunctional backgrounds, that I was hanging around with them when we were getting into trouble in the care room. And it kind of like, when I was in care, I never really liked drugs. I used to disagree with it. I was against it, like, no, I won't do that, I won't touch that. But then when I hit 16, I moved back to my mum's, I started smoking weed, and I was drinking a lot. And it just got worse from growing up.
Who did you get, did your friends do that, or did you?
My brother's salt green, my mum smoked it, my auntie smoked it, most of the family were all taking drugs. And I did have a mate that I used to get drunk with all the time.
We were aware of it, but we didn't really know the full extent of it till she was here for a few months.
So how often a week, how often would you use that? Would you smoke cannabis?
Weed now and then. It made my head go scatty. I didn't feel in a good place. It just took me out of the chaos and calmed me down, and then from then it progressed.
So it
My
was.
drink was my major thing at 16.
Did you ever think when you were doing that you, because obviously your mum was always involved, and did you ever think, turning into my mum?
Yeah, I used to think that I'm going to turn out like my mum, and it used to send my head, I don't want to turn out like that. I don't want to be like that.
But you couldn't.
But I couldn't. It just made me go, and I had to do it. I couldn't be in that environment without a drink, with what was going on around. How could you live a normal life being around that? You can't, especially when you've got a lot going on inside and you've moved back to all of this. That's not right. That was an escape mechanism. It escaped me from reality.
Obviously, when people use drugs, they're at more risk of being in unhealthy relationships. So Paula, with her interest, put a bid together to get somebody to specifically work around domestic abuse. So I got that job, and we were talking about her relationships and, what could she do about that. And I think Lisa had already done stuff around relationships with her, but my thing was concentrating on relationships. And obviously you start to look at all the unhealthy relationships that she had. It's practically impossible to identify a good relationship. So we were trying to get her to really recognise the signs of a good relationship.
So take us back to you said you used to snort coke with your auntie. Was
Yeah.
that your mum's sister?
Yeah.
And was that the first
She gave
time
me
that
a
you tried
line.
cocaine?
Yeah, she gave me a line, and then it just becomes something that I like taking. And then to get me out of that situation, through going from the drink to the weed, going to coke become a major habit for me. I love taking it. And I started getting involved with a fella called Mike and other mates that lived in Digmore, and he was my buddy to get on it with. And so I used to leave my nans, go up to Digmore, get on it, and then come back to my nan's early hours in the morning, banging on the door to let me in. And it escaped me from that.
One thing about working with Chantelle, she will talk about everything. So we went right back to, so one of the things I will do with young people is your lifeline. And you can start to pick up how you start to behave, how you do. And with Chantelle, she couldn't come up with any good memories at all. There was nothing. So you go watch your earliest memories, and as we were talking earlier, it's about fighting, it's about strife, it's about, you know, and then the stories come gradually, and you're sat amazed how this kid can still be stood here, everything that she's been through, but I want to do something about it.
So tell us about, like, did you have, like, this Mike? Was he a friend? Was he a boyfriend?
No, he was just a friend. I didn't see him. I didn't look at him in that way. Nothing more. I just seen him as your house. Let's get on it. We'll party, and he gave that.
So he was a lot.
He allowed that. He was a lot older, in the 40s. He allowed that. You know, the men that were going there.
And how old were you at that point?
16, 17. I was only young.
And would you go on your own?
Yeah, go on my own.
And did anything happen from there? Was you ever in a relationship with any of them?
No, no. They tried, but no. Mike's always been a family part. He's always been known in our family from young. And he become like a safety net. Well, I feel safe around you, Mike. But then there was another fella called John. He tried to get in, and, you know, when you're on that stuff, you'll do whatever it takes, take advantage, you know, and that's where it leads to. So I used to get a buzz off actually going up and using them fellas. I know it sounds bad, but that's where it took me, and it just become a habit. I had power over them, and I liked the power I had. I felt in control, like I had control over you.
You know, she's been knocked down so many times, and the stories, you know, she'll have told you that. It's not for me to do that, but you sat there and it's, how can one person go through all of that and still be sat here with this positive fight to try and do something else?
So was that the first person you'd kind of, obviously apart from the initial one, was that the first person you spoke about this sort of stuff to?
Mike, he was like someone to get out, someone that can listen to me. It come to a point where I was getting up for college. You know, sometimes I'd go into college with a couple of lines up my nose and stones, but it got progressively. So while all that was going on, and while I was living at Nan's, I used to sleep heavy. Nan couldn't wake me up. She used to scream at me every morning, scream all the time, and it took to a point where I'd woke up and I'd come down and called her son a paedophile, and she attacked me, and then I rang the police, and that's how I got into the family centre.
We'd arranged for Chantelle to move in on the Monday, but I made all the staff very aware that the situation was so volatile that it could change at any time. And lo and behold, on the Saturday morning, I got a call from the police to say, we need to bring Chantelle now.
And it was like, wow, this has happened for a reason, and I've removed into there.
When I think back now, she's just so vulnerable, barefoot, hair all over the place, vest top on and a pair of pyjama shorts and a bag of dirty washing. That was Shan.
And she needed a place of safety, basically. Somewhere where she could just calm and breathe out before taking the next stages in her life.
I felt like I'm out of it. I don't have to put up with that. I can get on with my own life now. I can see something going further. Even though I'd been removed and put into that safe environment, I was arguing with a lot of girls in there. It just got, you know, I'd be sat at the table and there'd be like 2 to 3 girls sat at the table, and I'd be arguing with all of them, like telling them to, you know, put my mouth straight across. That buzz and that high I used to get off arguing with people in there.
She was so, I mean, I don't want to say unstable, but she was explosive.
And, you know, staff understood me. They listened to me. And all my life I wanted to be listened to. And they did. They sat down and they listened. And they put an awful lot of work in.
She knew that she didn't know how to express herself, so it come out in anger or tears, snot and tears all the time with Shan, yeah.
We are trying to create that nurturing feeling, that ethos really, as opposed to being a parent. However, any support worker dips in and out of sort of parenting, teaching, advising and guiding all the time.
I think that's all I ever wanted, just someone to sit down and understand and listen to me and not reject me. And they did, they give all of that. As much as I might have been a pain, they still love me for who I was. But even now, they put so much work in, they couldn't stop me from taking drugs. They couldn't stop me from doing what I was doing. I was still going out and getting off my face, walking into the crisis centre, like, off my face. So as much as they were giving, I was taking advantage. And it wasn't healthy, but I couldn't stop. Even though that help was there, I just felt it weren't good enough. Even though they're sitting there and you're speaking to me and you're understanding, yeah, it's nice that you understand, but it's not fixing what's actually going on inside.
It can be simple things like something someone says or a programme she's watched on TV and just make her go boom, and she'll you know, she was very fragile, very, very fragile girl.
But me going out and getting on it, I think like they could sit down and speak to me and they got me help, they got me involved with young addiction, they got a counsellor out for me. But Lisa, she was my first worker I worked with, and even she wasn't good enough for it. Like, we could sit there speaking about my life all day long and she'd be like, you need to do this, that's what you need to do, and I'd be going in one ear and out the other. I'm not listening to this. The much more you're trying to help me, I'm not listening. I'm just meeting up with you just to speak about my life because I need someone to offload to, and that's how I seen it. I did want to get help, but I couldn't stop.
From my memory, she was referred by the Birchwood Centre, and she was having a lot of issues around not just substances as such, but also in relationships with people within the house.
But as much as I wanted to change my life around, I just couldn't, at that time and place, I couldn't stop. And then I got into a relationship and that was even worse. It lasted for 2 years and I could not get out of it. It come a codependent. He was on drugs, I was on drugs. It was mainly all about sex and, you know, it just got worse. Insecurities around each other. We were just getting off our face constantly, all the time, and I couldn't get out of it. That's what I felt worth. I belong in this relationship.
Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result, it just defeats you. So we did loads of stuff around your confidence and self-esteem. So every time you do something and it goes wrong, what does it make you feel like? It makes you feel rubbish. So that feeds all that negative stuff. We need you to start looking at things in a positive way. You need a positive experience that gives you the confidence and the courage to do all the things that you know, because she knows all the stuff. I didn't do any work that she hadn't already done. Chantelle knew the stuff. She knew what needed to happen. She just didn't have the confidence to follow through with it, and every time she got into another relationship or she ended up in a difficult situation, it fed that she wasn't capable of making that change.
You know, you take drugs because you're killing yourself inside, but I had them thoughts already. And I think that's why I took drugs, because I thought, oh, you're taking all the pain away, so I might as well, you know, if this ain't working, then what? And then it all bounded on top, and I thought, this is too much. And it's not even that. When I was in this relationship, with all the stuff that was going on in it, it brought a lot up from my younger years with the family. And, you know, it's one of them points where you hit is this all I deserve? Is that all, I'm used to, it becomes normal. We'd been out, I'd walked back home, my head went west, and then I went into my bedroom and took a lot of antidepressants. And then I come out the room and went over to Jodie and said, Jodie, I've took a lot of tablets, and the ambulance come out. I was taken to the hospital, but I had to wait there to get checked. Then I ended up coming back home, and then the police come out to the crisis centre and picked me up and took me back. I just wanted to get in bed and just sleep. And after that, I still met up with this fella and still seen him and still begged and still run back. It was much of control, shame-based relationship. Just wasn't healthy at all. He was older than me, he was like 28, and my age compared to that.
And how old are you at that point?
I think I was 17 or 18 when I got with Mark. Life just got too much, and it was getting worse, and there weren't no way out of it. I couldn't see a way out of it. I fought through all of that what went on, and then moving into the crisis centre to get all the help, and that's not good enough. The counselling's not good enough. Yous ain't helping. Then the drugs, then that relationship, that's all I seen at part of life. This is going to get worse. This is going to get nasty.
And how did you guys feel when she actually made that transition into rehab? Did you think that, obviously you hoped that it would help, but how did you guys feel, or you personally worked with her, did you feel that this could be?
It had to be. It's not could it be, it had to be, because where else would you go with her? Because we'd had her, we sort of nurtured her, she grew, she got better, and then she plummeted again. She needed someone, somewhere stable, somewhere with strength, somewhere with real big experience how to work, and pick her up and take her away. She needed to get out of Scam, because if she'd have stayed in Scam, she'd be dead. Clearly, she would be dead.
I tell you what, with obviously being an addict, you learn a fucking lot in the treatment, and you learn a lot about yourself, and it's all about gratitude and seeing life for what it is, and the things that we actually learn is mad to what people that aren't, I think people that aren't addicts need to learn this stuff.
Yeah.
They need to learn about themselves, how they treat people, how they come across, learn about themselves, and it's mad. It's changing your head, it's how your head thinks. Like, head can think so negative and so wrong. I think with my coke use and my downfall is that I hanged around with all the fellas, and it continued, and with the type of my attitude and my anger the way it is, it attracted that. I didn't give I didn't care who I was around. I weren't like, I didn't feel like I was in a vulnerable place when I was off my face. I thought I could handle it.
Chantelle knew the stuff. She knew what needed to happen. She just didn't have the confidence to follow through with it, and every time she got into another relationship or she ended up in a difficult situation, it fed that she wasn't capable of making that change. So she knew what should be happening, but she didn't quite have that strength to move forward. So obviously suggested the rehab, because it's hard work, Chantelle. It really is hard work, but they'll unpack all the pieces and you'll have to put it there, and then you put it back together and decide how to move forward. I honestly didn't think she'd go, but give the girl a due. She did follow through with it. I talked to Nat when she comes to see it and see if it's an option. And I knew she had a bit of a thing about rehab, because we'd been on a residential and one of the younger girls had been in rehab already, and she went, I'm not as bad as her, I've not had to go to rehab, have I? And it's like, that is irrelevant. Rehab isn't just about stopping taking drugs, it's about changing your life. Chantelle can stop taking drugs until something happens, and then she'll go back into her old patterns. When it's good, it's fantastic. But she needed to make the change to move forward and do things differently.
Who told her that she had been accepted into there? Was you involved in that?
Yeah, they rang me to let me know that she'd been kind of accepted, and then I gave Chantelle a ring to let her know that she'd been accepted
And what was her response to that?
Oh, so happy. She was absolutely thrilled to bits at that, definitely. She just kind of wanted to move there and then.
How long was that? How long was you in that Target house for?
5 months, maybe over 5 months.
You never left? Never?
I wanted to leave. I packed my stuff ready to go, but something kept me there.
When I was seeing her, she was in relationships with people, so she didn't want to leave the relationship. Quite codependent relationships often, so there was no way she was going into rehab while she was in one of them.
The truth that people were saying to me that I needed to improve, I didn't want to know. I think it was too hard to actually listen to what I need to change, and this is what they were right. They weren't wrong, but I found it a struggle. And kind of having that support there and someone believing that I can do this and I can change, I think made me stay there, that this is going to get better. I wanted to change everything that I needed to work on. I wanted to change my behaviours, there was a lot that I wanted to change. I didn't want to end up like that. And the thought of, what stopped me from leaving that house was the fact that if I leave this house, I'm going back to that same old stuff. And I'm going to get back in an unhealthy relationship. I'm going to end up back at my family. And it was, it scared me. I didn't want to go back there.
And it was quite hard, frustrating, because she was either in quite a dark place, in maybe an unhealthy codependent relationship and using substances, which was very hard to get her away from that, or she was doing quite well. And again, when somebody's doing really quite well, they don't see a need for any more intensive work. So
I don't think it was the drugs that was hard giving up. I think it was I think it was the behaviours, the head and how it worked, and all the emotions that were underneath. That's what made me pick up and made me use. But I wouldn't say, when I used to get stressed and that, yeah, I'd think about having a spliff and, or when I want to get on it, but no. It was better. Gets better.
Not necessarily Chantelle, but some people, it can't come from them if they don't know what's wrong. So there's a lot of work to be done around denial, aspects of, their justifications, their perceptions, how they react. So there's a lot of work to be done around self-awareness, because unless you give somebody the tools to be able to do that for themselves and get that inner strength, and I'm saying this mainly because some people get tarnished with, well, they're never going to make it. And I don't think you can say that about people, because maybe they're not going to make it if they don't get the tools and are supported to use those tools. So it's about how people work with them, I think, and giving them opportunities. And then maybe they can make them decisions for themselves of how they want to proceed with it.
It's about being powerless over other people's behaviours, but I knew it was getting worse, and it would make me cry, because I'd be asking people, how do I control this anger? How can I work on this? And it was further on within 4 months that I started to realise that this needs to change. I don't want to be like this.
She's saying this guy treats her better than other people. Of course he treats you better. He's getting you to do what he wants. He's giving you drugs and so forth. But you have to expect something much more. And you do that when you work with lots of young people that are in abusive relationships. They tend to go from one to another. And they have this innocence that it's okay because it's better than the last one. Instead of expecting the very best. because they're not beating me up or they're not hurting me on a daily basis, it's better than the last one, so it must be okay. We've got to get to the stage where you want the very best, and that's where that conversation comes from. I said, I think you need to look at rehab. But I can stop. I said, yeah, but you can't maintain it. And she went, she stop and think, then she looks back at you. I might do that, she said. It wasn't like you will do this. It's an option. It's a chance to really unpack everything and put those pieces back together, because she was doing the same old, and you can sense people are losing the patience. She'll just do it again. She keeps trying, so while she keeps trying, it's worth keep coming up with a different approach. And that just seemed like, I have seen people that have been through rehab that you think would never ever make it, and when you see how much it can impact if they allow it, it was worth a try. And I just thought, for her, it was something she could try.
After sort of 6 months without, obviously you've had no substance for 6 months, and you've been through this kind of journey. How did you feel when this kind of program was coming to an end?
I felt great when it was coming to an end, and when I was getting out. I couldn't wait to get out. I was ready. I wanted to leave.
But it was a leave for a different reason, though, wasn't it, this time?
It was leave for a better life. And I knew when I got involved with the Amy Winehouse, when they had taken me, it was like my heart felt so that was the right place. And I knew there's so many months that I stayed there, and what I learned, I understood that. I don't have to pick up and I don't have to use. I've just got to deal with me, what's going on for Chantelle. It's not the substance. Why I used, I understand that. And I don't believe the disease of addiction. It's my head, how my head talks, how it affects, is that I need to control that head and that mind and my feelings. But it did. I couldn't wait to move on. Lisa had already mentioned it to me, but after when that court case went on and that I was ready for packing and leaving, Lisa come out and sat with me. And she said, Chantelle, if you do the 4 months here, you can go to London. We'll get the application done. And she was right.
But it was quite emotional, really, because, we've worked with her for such a long time, probably a good 5 years on and off, and even though I've not worked with her all them times, I've known her for a long time, and it was emotional because she's moving to London and it's such a big step to take, and she was such an inspiration, so it was an emotional kind of journey down, because she was doing a lot of reflecting and talking a lot about the past and about the future and how things are going to be a lot different down there. And I think obviously she was still a bit nervous, as you would be, a bit of uncertainty. What do I do when I get down there? What's it going to be like? But on the whole, it was a really positive kind of journey down.
Moving from like a small area to a bigger city, it comes across a bit overwhelming, but it weren't that scary. I was more excited. I think knowing that I was coming to London, that I was never going back to school. Even though I do get that feeling sometimes, well, if I do sabotage it, where am I going to end up? But no, I honestly think like London, I knew I was going to stay here, and this is where I'm going to build my life. Not many people actually get out of the situation, and I've realised that, but long as if they know that someone's been through that and has got out of it, and their life does get better, it's having that belief that there's an other side to this life. Even though all the downfalls that have gone on from younger, it can improve. And it's just putting all that effort into it and doing something about it.
So, if someone said to you, where are you now? Where do you feel that you are at this moment in time?
Still in the middle. So I've left treatment, and it's been like a roller coaster being out. So sometimes I can get really frustrated over the steps and over the sponsor thing. So it's like up, down, being able to control that head on its own without using anything. It's all the feelings that come with it. You know, it's still hard at the minute, knowing I've only been out of treatment only a couple of weeks. It's gonna take, you know, maybe 2 years, something to actually start feeling good in myself, but they say within these steps that it does get better. But we have to work these steps every single day. I don't see it the way other people see it. So it's like when they're telling me it's something that like, it's hard for me to see to where I'm at today than what other people can see. I can see if that I do this work and I put all the commitment in and work on this stuff, that my life keeps getting better and that it will get better and that I will have the career that I've wanted and I will have the stuff that I've wanted.
And what would your message be to you know, to any other people, young people who are in a similar situation or somewhere along the journey that you've been on? What would you say to them if you could?
Is keep fighting. Is keep getting the support. And if these people are in addiction, get out of it and do something about it. Because it does get better.
What would your message be to those people that have supported you on this journey?
I'm so grateful. I am. It feels like a privilege to have all these people in my life, especially like Della, Lisa, Barbara, Stella, all of them. They've all done good. You know, they've been a big part of my journey. When I was in that situation, Della was the one that got me out of it. Stella and, you know, Barbara looked after me while in the crisis centre. And then Lisa and Natalie come in and supported. And it feels like, I feel like I've been lucky. I've been one of the lucky ones to have had amazing people like them in my life that have just carried and pushed me. Even though I've pushed them away, they've kept on, they've kept on coming back. They haven't rejected it. They told me to keep going on.
I hope that she stays in recovery. That's my biggest hope. I hope that she finds happiness in herself and that, you know, she reaches her full potential, because she's a brilliant girl, the most likeable girl you'll ever meet. You really, really root for her, and I just hope she uses some of her amazing skills that she's got in terms of dancing, singing, and I hope that she uses them for the positives.
I think you can focus on the drugs, and that's obviously a massive important aspect, but you've also got to look at all the surrounding things of why people are in the situations that they are in and how they're interacting with the world around them, how they're seen and how they see themselves as well, and I think that has a big impact on whether people relapse and whether they're triggered to use or what kind of process they're going to go through with it, really. Yeah.
She's full of love that she's found very difficult to express. And I suppose that's what I want her to do as well. That's what I want for her future, is I want her to be able to love and be loved for who she is and not judged. I think that's important for her. And she'll get there.
I had tears coming up. It's hard. Like, do you know what? Actually, speaking about my life story, I think this is like, I haven't cried. Like, I felt tears, but I haven't cried through it, and that gives me that peace of mind that it's actually getting stronger, and that I won't break down every time I speak about it, and it's so good.